Okay. So yeah, I always identify artists as being a bit of the canary in the coal mine in terms of really feeling, having our finger in the pulse of what's happening in the world, and we're responsive to that. That's what artists do, right? We live, we exist, we take it in, and then we regurgitate it as art for other people to enjoy, hopefully, and we process the feelings, make sense of it in some form. So I wanted to do this just because I know I personally, even though I'm out and about doing things, I have been feeling a bit of isolation at the same time. So I was like, let me just check in with people and just kind of have a bit of a more one-on-one kind of experience with y'all. And I was like, and I like utilizing social media to keep me honest in terms of as a motivator to paint. So some of you may have noticed I've been doing these. I have all these plein air paintings that I just haven't finished over the last couple of years. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and work one a day and, see if I can, fit, like just finish them, see if I can finish one a day and, utilizing social media to give me that task, right? Like, okay, guys, I'm going to post one a day. That said, I've missed a few days here and there, but I'm very forgiving of myself. And I felt the same with this, it's like I'm here painting anyway. I may as well have some friends with me. So, um, and in terms of a demo, the piece I've picked here, and I have two cameras up on the painting. Hopefully you guys can see both of them, or maybe you can switch between the two. So if you can't see them, let me see if I can spotlight this other one. Here we go. So I'm just gonna go spotlight the one that you'll see more of it. So this one here, this painting. The idea with this is of what I'm going to be doing. This is an underpainting. It's a view that I've been enjoying driving out to my cabin in the winter. One day I was like, I just need to paint this. And I did what's called a grisaille. It's, basically a value painting of darks and lights, just figuring out the composition, some texture, some movement of the paint, and just using mostly, I mean, I say black and white. It's not really black paint. It's and I'll look at the camera for this. It's not black and white paint. It's uh, a mix of probably. I actually don't think it is this, but it's usually this. It's blue, black, and asphaltum. The reason why it's not blue, black, and asphaltum in the initial underpainting is because as I mentioned, I have many studios and many locations, and I sometimes forget my paint. So I didn't have blue, black, and asphaltum on me, which are like my two favorite color combos for mixing all of my dark temperature values. Because blue, black is quite cool, asphaltum is quite warm. They're both dark mixed together. You can get all of the dark tones. But yeah, so I did that, and then I did just white right on top of it, putting in the tree. So what I'm going to do now is a glaze of some more asphaltum and blue black to push some of the trees back, start getting a little bit of depth in this. So right now it's just a compositional painting, and now it'll build into something more. I just mixed my paint, added a lot of mediums. I want it to be pretty transparent. And so I'm just going to go ahead and like boldly just, throw this on here. And hopefully you can hear me over the sound of this. And if you guys have any problems with like any sound or any angle thing or whatever, just let me know. And because you seem to be such a quiet crew, if anybody, if you could put things in the chat, I have that open. But if you also want to just ask a question or something, or say anything, or share something, that's fine. But again, especially technical stuff, I needed to be a little bolder with how much paint I put out here. Always a little shy about that. All right, so I got this all darkened here, like things are pushed back, but I want to bring some of it back out. And I also want to make a note that when you paint dark over light, there's like technical terms for these things. So dark over light is a glaze. And then some people just say glazing for all of it, but glazing is technically dark over light. And when you do that, it's inherently warmer. It's a warmer result. But then when you put light over dark, it's cooler, and that's called a velatura. So because this is dark over light, this is technically a glaze. The technique, though, of how I was applying it, because it was like really rubbing the paint in, that's called scumbling. Although I did use quite a bit of medium, which you wouldn't always necessarily use with scumbling, but probably would. So just some of these shoes. So I'm using a rag, um, and I made sure there is some cat hair in it, but I did try to clean it off, make sure there wasn't too much cat hair. I'm just looking for the cat again. Man, I should have snagged him while he was eating his foods. Hopefully he makes an appearance. I know you're all really here for Dr. Joel Fleischman, aren't you? Who's here for the cat? So I'm just pulling out some of the lights, bringing some of these back in, some of these trees. I'm not loving how this is pulling. I mean, it's doing it a bit. It's kind of just smearing the paint around. So I might try going in with a nice stiff brush and see if I can move it some more. I might need to use some medium too. Bring some of them forward and let some just sit in the back there. And this is how I work with a lot of my work. It's just pushing the paints, the darks and lights back and forth. Like I'll do a textural underpainting and then just use various layers to push the paint back and forth. It just makes it a bit more dreamy. I don't know how to explain it. No, I should not explain it. A bit more dreamy. It just kind of settles it into a space some more. It integrates it into the surface of the painting a bit more. Another thing I like to work with a lot are sticks, which I wonder if I have. Oh, I do have one here. Let me see if I have some other ones. Not too many. This is what I like about painting up at my cabin is I have all of the nature outside, and I do like to work with elements from nature to just kind of add more texture to a surface. I'm kind of going side to side to just give the sense of branches, lots of little branches happening in there. Don't love this one, but I don't know if I have other options. Oh, yes, I do. This one. Oh, that's better. Wanted something a bit more splayed. Just bringing out a few trees here and there. Now I want to be careful because I'm not fully thinking. You always have to be thinking when you're painting. Always be thinking, and I'm not fully thinking. I have actually made these trees that I've pulled out, like wiped out to bring forward again. I made them almost evenly spaced. If you guys can see that, it's like one, two. Yeah, it's like yeah. So I have to. I'm gonna break that up some more. You don't want things in nature. Things are pretty random. I mean, obviously there is some structure to nature, but if you make things too much the same, it flattens it out. It's not as interesting, and people are like, why did the artist do that? So now, of course, that could be something you're doing intentionally, like you know, like some of the beautiful Art Nouveau pieces of the 1910s or whatever. That was beautiful that they were finding all these patterns and bringing them forward. However, that's just not the what I'm doing here. I'm not creating a decorative piece. I'm trying to create a pretty spooky piece, actually. That's the thing too. It's like when you're figuring out your composition, you definitely want to think of what the feeling is with it. And I'm gonna totally out myself here. I mean, I always wanted to paint this anyway, because like I said, this is what I see when I drive to my cabin. So it's kind of special to me. And I always think it's kind of funny that it looks like the opening to The Shining or something. And I usually post a video of it and send it to various horror movie theme songs. But so obviously it's like film component in my mind, right? But then what also happened, which really inspired me to work on this piece, is David Lynch passed away, and I was just thinking about his work, and a lot of painters in particular are very drawn to his aesthetics, which makes sense because he studied painting. He went to PAFA, Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Art, and you can really see that visual. The appreciation of composition within his work. So I'm like thinking about that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a painting. So I was like listening to quotes of his and this like coming up with this painting. that's kind of what's happening here. Um, and now that winter's gone, so I started working on this in the winter time, and then I decided, oh, I found Fleischman's coming, by the way. He was in the closet. Want to come say hi? Um, yeah, I just, now that it's getting warmer, I'm like, okay, I can reconnect with my winter painting a little bit. Let me see if I can get, you guys want to see Fleischman? Some of you, I know Sherry in particular knows my last cat, Philosopher, but this is the new guy, Dr. Joe Fleischman.
He's so beautiful. Oh, he's gorgeous. He matches you. He just looks like he belongs.
Yeah. I'm always like, "God, such a good looking cat." And he's a really good boy. He goes to bed at night. Let's see if you'll let me like hold him in paint. Are you gonna be shy? He's a little shy right now. We won't do that to you, but you are a good boy. I'm off camera. He's so good. But yeah, he also keeps me honest, this one. But he goes to bed at night. He's like, oh, it's bedtime. He just sleeps through the night. He does not knock things off of tables. He's done that twice. And every time he does it, I just watch him and he does it. He's like, I don't know how I feel about this. Oops, sorry, I just realized people are in the waiting room. Um, he's like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then it happens and he looks at it and he looks at me and then he always comes running over to me. So he's a total mama's boy too. So that was Dr. Joel Fleischman, who's actually just laying here right off camera at the moment. So, and that's what he does. He likes to hang out. Whatever I'm doing, he just likes to hang out and do it with me, which is why that's why I started picking him up when I paint, because he just was like trying to walk around the paint and just yelling at me. So I just started holding him while I was painting, and he just watches. Really funny. Um, so for those of you just joining, thank you, welcome. Um, yeah, I'm doing this because I just want to reconnect with my people a little bit. It's like, so, social media is so passive, it's just putting things out there, but we're not, and it's nice, we connect in a way, but there's no real engagement. So I just wanted to, invite you guys into my home here while I worked a bit on this painting. Um, and so I'm just putting a layer over this white that I had on here, because the white obviously is too intense. So I just put a layer of dark over it and scraping the paint out. And if anybody has any questions, for sure, please drop them in the chat, or, again, you guys seem to be very well behaved. So if anybody wants to just call out and ask me anything, like, what are you doing? What's that tool? What do you have coming up? Why is your cat named Fleischman? Anything you want. Where are you living these days? Like any questions, or even if you see somebody that you want to ask a question of, or a general question for the audience. So I'm pretty good about this. I am noticing as I do this, and I might do it while it's still wet. I'm gonna want to go do another layer. I don't have a lot of I have a lot of branches going this way, like the trunks, but I didn't do much with the branches going horizontally. So I'll probably go in at some point. But again, I'm not super pleased. I love doing this stuff with branches, and I'm not very pleased with this bamboo that I happen to have here. It's good for some texture, but not giving me the full experience. But yeah, you can see I'm like really being messy with it, because nature is messy. There's a lot of sticks, there's a lot of growth, there's a lot happening on there. So if I was sat there and made it all pristine and beautiful, it'd be a different feeling. And that's just not the feeling I'm going for. I want it to be a bit more intense and intimidating. There we go. um, so let's see if he cooperates. Oh no, he's feeling a little playful actually. He wants to play. Oh, he's not gonna play right now though. All right, last view on Fleischman. I'm gonna let him go. He doesn't want to let me go. Um, so anyway, you guys see the videos of me painting with him. It's usually like for about that long. Like, yeah, I just hold him for a little bit. Sometimes he gets really, really invested, and then I'm with him for quite a while. Um, but yeah, it's nice to see a lot of people here from different aspects of my being as an artist. So thank you guys so much. I mean, there's people who when I was living nomadically, offered me places to stay. It's nice to see some familiar faces that way. People I've taught alongside, some former students, some people I've painted alongside, and a lot of new faces here. So, again, if we have not had the opportunity to meet, I'd love if you can just drop in the chat where you're checking in from. And I guess also if you heard about this through, whether it was through Facebook or Instagram or Blue Sky or Threads, if you don't mind dropping that in there, just so I have some data points, that would be very helpful. So just, yeah, where you're from and maybe how you found out about this. Um, that's nice. Again, it's speaking of the mood of this piece, I wanted a little bit chaotic. So I'm using just a like regular household brush, like household painting brush, a chip brush, they're sometimes called. That I just got at a hardware store for like $1. And I like them because you can do a lot with them and really abuse them and really beat the surface with them. I would do prints anyway because I think prints are nice. Because once somebody gets one image, like why should that be the end of it? And as artists, we retain the rights to our imagery that we produce. So I've always offered prints as a way for people who maybe can't afford a original to have something that both supports me as an artist, but also so that they can enjoy. And I do often print them on metal so that they are very closely representative of the work that I do. Now, this piece happens to be on linen, so I do paint on linen as well, but I'm mostly known for painting on aluminum. And in fact, based on how we're doing here, maybe I'll pull out one of my aluminum pieces and do a pass on that, because that needs some glazing as well. Um, but yeah, so I just put some new prints up in the print store and I revitalized that again because of Severance. I didn't really like. No, I did put some new prints on this year, but this year I fixed up my store a little bit because after Severance, a lot of people wanted prints of that specific painting that was in the show. So those are all up on my site. And it's interesting for the show, they printed it on aluminum, which is true to what I do. And I don't even think we had a conversation about that. It was so long ago when I first approached me. Anyway, so that's also on my website. There's a print shop. The smaller sales that I do on social media, those are not available on my website. So if you're ever looking for art, either check my social media or you can always email me. I'm very accessible. I'm online a lot, which is funny story. I don't have internet here. I don't have TV or anything. You're on my, I have a hotspot on my phone. So that's what we're utilizing here. Up at my cabin, I reluctantly got a satellite connection, but it's so awful. It's so slow. And I really only got that for guests. And like I said, I might be hosting, so, oh yeah, I started saying before, like I was going to start hosting stuff at the cabin, but then I got kind of distracted by renovations. So, I can't really have people over while getting my cabin jacked up. So, but if you're interested in that, those are a little bit more personal. It's like I also offer those online one-on-one sessions, which could be consulting or it could be a demo like this. It could be really it's what you get me for an hour or more. And I just answer any of your studio questions, or we'll do a specific demo if you're have an image that you're working on, which I've had people do, and I'll print it out and do a painting over it to kind of help you break through a part that you might be having a hard time with. There's a lot of ways that can look, the online ones, but similar to actually painting plein air at my cabin, it's like you're just kind of hanging out with me for a weekend. It's like a getaway, and you get to really pick my brain. Um, so it's a bit different. It's almost like a hang and paint is what I've been calling it. This like paint and sip. This is hang and paint. Um, and then I'll make a fire, and it's just like hanging out with me and picking my brain for a weekend. Um, and then the hilltop one, that is a more structured um, uh, workshop where like I'll have goals that we'll meet in terms of like we're painting this and we're going to experiment with this, and So it's a bit more structured on like the building blocks of how to paint something in plein air. Um, or like at my cabin when you could even bring something and we can work on it together. Um, and then the workshop in New York City, the Central Park one, that's similar. It's just that's in New York City, so we'll set up probably at the boat pond, or it depends on the weather. But there's various location sites that we can set up and paint. Um, if it's too hot, we'll want some more shady. If it's raining, we'll want something a little sheltered. So there's a lot of options there. Um, and then also, just depending. I once got like booted because of a wedding. So Central Park's always a bit unpredictable that way. And that's plein air painting generally. Like there's always you have to be very accommodating to whatever nature or the circumstances are presenting you. It's almost a bit of a exercise in it's like a Zen exercise almost, right? Just to give into the universe a bit. Which is, I think, why I also like to paint in this manner, where I just kind of put the paint on and then I kind of mess it up in a way. Um, I'm not so precious with how I paint, um, because like it's just kind of giving into what the chaos of life, right? Life is chaotic, and I think it's kind of nice to embrace that. It's how I am as a person, anyway. Um, I had a funny conversation with a friend the other day, and sorry, I was checking the room here. We're good. I had a conversation with a friend the other day. Well, first I was just talking about how I have a hard time being on time for things. As a teacher, I'm always on time. I think only once I was late to teach ever. It's because of a drawbridge. And but or like like something I have to be on time for, I will. But if I don't have to be on time, I will not be on time. I just have a very abstract relationship with time, and I just learned to embrace this at some point about myself instead of fighting against it. But then my friend was so funny. She's like, we're chatting about that, and she's like, "Oh, is that because I get compliments on my skin a lot? People think I'm younger than I am." Which I'm sure lots of people say that, but I do. It happens a lot. I'm not like whatever. Um, and she was like, "Is that why your skin's so nice? Is it because you have such a you don't acknowledge time?" And I was like, "Oh, that's probably it. Like I have such a aversion to acknowledging it that my skin's even like I don't know what's going on out there." But I also wear a lot of sunscreen and a hat when I'm out painting. So that's the real trick. It's not spending too much time in the sun or using adequate protection. I'm feeling pretty good about this as a second layer. So again, for those that came in later, what I did is, I had this painting. I kind of just felt where I wanted the trunks to be, but I just used white paint. And then I went over it just now with a mix of asphaltum and blue black. They have a nice transparency. And just really kind of in a scumbly way, also in a scattered, scumbly way, added this layer of glaze to just set the trees back a bit. And then I'm going to go in and bring some forward again. And I also want to use, I'm going to get like some good branches that have lots of um, tiny branches coming on. Not this, um, this is a little, it's just a bamboo stick. It's been breaking as I go, but it's a little too structured. I like it to be a bit more chaotic. Um, And I'm just going to check in here and see if anybody had any questions. So yeah, the Severance thing came up. This is where it's just good to put yourself out there. I They found my paintings on Artsy, so one of my galleries still had it up, even though it was a painting that sold. And they, I have a feeling they were looking. I don't want to give away anything about the show for those who haven't seen it, but I have a feeling they were looking for uh, an iceberg, and probably just put in like tip of the iceberg or something for their search, and came across my painting on Artsy, and they reached out. And at first I was like, we get, as artists, we get people trying to scam us constantly. And he's like, really, you're going for like the poorest, hardest working, poorest people. um, or desperate, just the most desperate people. And it's like, oh, somebody's paying attention to me, yay. Oh no, you're just trying to scam me. But but so I looked her up and I was like, oh no, this person's legit. And so I followed up and we had some back and forth. So originally they wanted something that was 4 foot by 6 foot, but the painting wasn't available. It was in a collector's home. And they uh and then she's like, well, can you print something that large? I was like, absolutely, because as artists, make sure you're taking very good photos of your work, because you never know when it's going to get published in a book later or be used in a TV show. Or I just had someone reach out to me about something there too, like enlarging images of my work for like prints, something. And so it's just good to have good records of your pieces for a lot of reasons. Um, and So I did. So I sent it to her, but then they ended up reproducing it so small, but I kind of love it. And I think, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I have a feeling they actually matched the color of the room to my painting, which is pretty cool. They didn't adjust the color of the painting at all. All right, I'm going to set this one aside and pull up another one. Um, so this is actually my apartment in New York City where I am. So I paint wherever I am. So I have this wall dedicated to this, but I also have like a space there where I put paintings when they're wet, so I can have multiple on the go. Um, in case, yeah. So this black blob here, this is Fleischman. um, always watching, always involved. So yeah, so so I have the space here to set up and paint. And then I do have a studio downtown, which I'm currently subletting. I had knee surgery over the summer and I couldn't really do the stairs. It's a walk up. So I, oh, that was actually a good layout for this. Um, so yeah, I have been subletting it to a friend because there's construction happening in the building. And I wanted him to be able to, it's like I'm hardly getting in to use the space. So I was like, you may as well use it. So I'm currently subletting my primary studio. And it's funny, I think I just realized I put a painting there that I need. So to go downtown and get it, it's a pain in the butt, but that's whatever. And then I have a studio in my cabin in my shed. It's called Shedzilla. It's a really big shed. Um, and then I always have, oh, and I paint in my office. I mentioned I'm the director of a gallery, but I paint there because I was like, when I was getting hired, I was like, I'm a full-time painter, and they're like, oh yeah, you can paint here. So I paint there as well. And then usually smaller work, unless we don't have a show up. If we're between shows, I'll pull the easel out and work on larger work while I'm there. And then I have an easel in my car, so I'm just always ready to paint at all times. um, and so this piece here is a new body of work. I kind of started in the fall, and so when the world started kind of going a little batty the last 6 months or so, I kind of found myself compulsively starting paintings and not really knowing where they were going or where I wanted to go with them. Um, so this was one of them. And the idea being, I was interested in like these dark, kind of gloomy landscapes, but having something like an intense color kind of cut through it. And this actually came from working on the watershed project because I was looking at how um, the reservoirs, even though it's like situated in the Catskill Mountains, it's beautiful. But the way the reservoirs are, the way that they're engineered, they just kind of really slice through the landscape. Like there's just usually whatever it's called, the uplift of it has a specific term. Because I just named one of my paintings after it, so I was like analyzing the parts of reservoirs. But that where they uplift the ground, that's the wall of the reservoir. That's still natural land. It's usually like quite lush and green, and it just doesn't match the rest of the landscape. So I just like how it like just like severed it, like cut it in half. So I started thinking of other ways to do that. I don't really know why I'm doing this or what it means, but I have a body of work that I started that's exploring it. And I, you know, so I haven't finished this one. So I brought this, I was working on since Shedzilla. I brought it down into the city, was working on it in my office. And while I was there, I wasn't really happy with how the clouds were sitting against the glow of the clouds was sitting against the dark. So I went in with some white paint actually, so you can see these parts that look quite pink, um, and just kind of built it out a bit more. And so I need to go in and glaze on it again to adjust the color to match everything. The question is, do I have that color here? Oh, I think I do. Oh, the question is, this is an old tube of paint. She's doing this camera. very old tube of paint. I have there's something about me that people just like to give me their old stuff. So I have a collection of very old paint. I don't know if you guys heard that. That was Fleischman. He just saw a bird outside, so he's making noises. Um, so see if I can get this open and squeeze some. Oh, I can. Okay, look at that. That's the thing with old paint. Until it dries out, you can still use it. So yeah, I have like all these tubes. This looks like it's from, this might be from the 50s. I definitely have some from the 60s. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's like people that moved, or I have a lot from my ex grandmother-in-law, my ex nana-in-law. I have her old paints. Actually, I want this brush. Yeah, I do want this brush. Yeah, I'm gonna use this brush. Um, yes, I have like a lot of her paint, just a lot of people that moved away, people who just aren't painting anymore. Like they're just like, hey, Lisa, you want them? Yeah, I'm always gonna say yes to paint. So look at that. That's the same color. So, and it's coming, and the color's coming off nice and warm. Because like I talked about earlier, a glaze inherently, because it's a darker color over something light, will be warmer. A way that I can help visualize that for a lot of people is if you ever think of like, okay, think of the color yellow. It's going to be warmer. It's going to be more towards the orange. It's already warm, but if you're going to make it warmer, it's going to be like kind of a bit more orangey in terms of like the scale of colors, the rainbow. Um, but if it's going to be cooler, it'd be more towards the greens, right? And I'm sure we've all done the thing where we take our yellow marker and put it over black. And what do we end up with? We end up with it looking kind of greenish. That's because when you put something light over something darker, it gets cooler. So that's a conceptual way to think about why that happens. I'm sure there's like something in physics that I just don't know the language for. But I've always just kind of used the crayon analogy. When in doubt, use crayons or markers. That's what we were all playing with when we were kids, right? Um, Again, just checking in if anyone has any questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat or any comments. Or if you want to let me know how you found out about this, if you haven't already. And if you haven't, check out my website. All my information of what I got going on is always on my website. Instagram, I've been a bit more sporadic with lately because I'm having a love-hate relationship with it. And as I mentioned, I'm diversifying a bit. I'm trying out Substack, which I haven't been great with, but as I mentioned, I do like to write, like just take the time to write about my work sometimes. Like even, I this year I applied for a lot of grants and residencies without even thinking I can necessarily do them. I don't know if I can because I'm pretty preoccupied with a lot of stuff. But I applied anyway because if anything, it's also a really good exercise and just stopping and writing about my work. And I think that's important as artists to also be able to put words to what we're doing. So that also helps us better understand it as well. Like with this body of work, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I haven't written about it yet. I haven't really thought about it. I'm just going with gut instinct for now. Um, and as I develop it and figure out where to finish, where I want to bring this to, in terms of a body of work or resolve or what have you, feeling, stepping stone to something else, who knows? So, every painting kind of has a different place in your oeuvre or your work as an artist. Um, but it's helpful to also just occasionally sit, and the writing about your work helps organize those thoughts. So I've been not enjoying, I should be enjoying more of my Substack with that. I want to become a bit more prolific with that. And Also, I was doing it a bit on Instagram, even. I was doing those like Monday musings. I might do that again. That was kind of nice. I would just like sit in the cabin on Sunday night by my fire and just like read some philosophy and then make a post about it and match paintings to it. I kind of miss that. I might do that again. Um, but and then it's also good, it just helps me be a more well-rounded artist, being, reading. Anybody got any art books that they can recommend? I'm always looking to um, uh, have more to study and know. Um, the learning process should never be fully complete, especially as artists, because again, we're responsive to the world around us, right? So, oh my gosh, am I finished? Nah, I'm gonna want to go back into this a bit more, but I'm like pretty happy with how this is going. Um, this painting, I'd say, is getting very close to the finish line, if not there. What I like to do is once I think I'm done, I just kind of live with it for a bit. And if I have the luxury of time, which again, not a good relationship with time, but if I have that luxury, um, I will sorry, I just distracted myself. I have a hard time sometimes painting and talking. Um, but where was I going with that? Luxury of time. Oh yeah, I will just I'll sit with it, let it just sit. Sometimes I'm painting right up to a deadline for a show. Um, so or the really nice thing that happens rarely these days, but sometimes happens is someone comes to your studio and says, I want to buy it. And you're like, well, guess I'm done. Unless it really affects your artist vision to not be done with that specific piece. But I'll let it sit for a while and then kind of see how it feels. Like again, this one I thought I was done with actually in January, and then I brought it into the city for a studio party, and just seeing it in a different room and with other works of art, I was like, oh no, this needs some more time. And this is his first time actually being worked on here. I guess that's the nice thing about having multiple studios is I can see them in literally different light, different contexts, different spaces, and start to respond to the work that way. Um, oh, and you can also know something I should mention. I am not using a photo. I'm not adverse to that. For sure, I do utilize photos in my work. Um, it's kind of a reminder of where I was, like a visual note to remind me of something. Um, but it gets to a point where I just want to be responding to what's happening before me. Um, so just checking the questions, see if there are any other questions. I think I'm gonna, unless you guys are like really digging this, I think I'm gonna wrap it up soon. So we're about to hit an hour. And I've been having lower back pain. I think it was a chainsaw incident. I wasn't very carefully, doing proper posture when I was cutting up this one tree that fell. And my back's been kind of hurting since then. So I can only stand for so long. Isn't that a bummer? And I stand when I paint. I'm sure you guys have seen the video. I'm usually like listening to some music and bopping around and just kind of being like, this. Actually, this feels better. Maybe I got some music. I think that's my problem, being too stiff. Thank you for this. You kept me honest. I'm feeling pretty good. This piece has been sitting in my apartment for um 3 months now, and I haven't touched it. So it's the first time I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna think about it. And I'm gonna put some paint to it. And I did it, and I feel really good about that. So thank you. And same thing with the other one, the dark snow scene one, which is not done. This one's not totally done either, but I'd say it's quite close. The other one's definitely not done, but it's been sitting in that state for months as well. Because something I've been having a hard time with is just like completion, which is again why I'm utilizing social media to like get me to just finish something. So I'm doing those like the little guys. I don't think they're here. Um, I have all these like plein air studies that I started. I'm like, let's just finish them one a day, just do one a day, and just like get them out, like have them on sale, just like finish them, move on. It's just like good exercise. It forces me to think about a subject. Like I'll do 12 oceans or 12 icebergs or 12, I don't know what I'll do next, maybe a tree or something. And maybe I'll do a tree on my property, like just do 12 versions of it, 12 different light, 12 different weather. And I call them like my little ditties. And to me, it's like practicing scales. It's like, just like just practice, like just practice your chops. It's rehearsal. So then whatever I'm doing in that small scale there, I can just put into the larger work later. And that's where it's nice. That's where I don't have the photo there because I've already done so much work leading up to the painting that's before me. Yeah. Any last questions before we sign off? Thank you so much, guys. This was great. Kept me honest. We got some paintings done. You got to meet Fleischman, who's still the black void over in the corner there. I'll bring them over to say goodbye. If you have any questions following up from this or thoughts or ideas or requests, I take requests. This is the world's chillest cat. Hi. Hi. Um, like hanging out. It's a little feisty right now, but from both of us, thank you for joining us in our home. See you guys out there painting. And again, thanks so much. If you want to share some work that you've been working on, I'm happy to see work. Uh, as artists, what do we do but art, art, and art? Sorry, I was looking at the birds outside. That's where Fleischman gets it from. I have a big robin that just landed out there. All right. Thank you, everybody.